Hi, this is Scott Garibay. Today we're going to talk about specifically about John Delaney. John Delaney is we're going to talk about who he is, what he stands for, what are his strengths, his weaknesses. He is a Democrat primary candidate to be the U.S. president. He's trying to win the right to run against Donald Trump in the election in 2020, in the general election. He's a Maryland congressman, right? And is he a Washington insider, an outsider, or a spike? He is absolutely dyed-in-the-wool Washington insider, which I think is going to be a weakness for him going forward, because generally I think people don't like Washington insiders. Today, in order to win, you have to be an outsider. You have to be a spike. You have to be a Washington insider who is spiked outside of that Washington insider box. And nothing I have seen has shown John Delaney spiking outside of the box. All right, so what does he stand for specifically? Specifically, he stands for globalization. He is, all of his policies surround specifically globalization, automation, and technology. Right. So he is specifically very concerned about automation, automating away American jobs, about technology, and making sure that we are essentially making sure that we are using technology in a way that's fair, that both progresses America from a technology perspective, and that we have automation, but automation is done in a way where we are considering people who are losing jobs to that automation. He's also concerned specifically about globalization, this idea of us being all over the world and this global market. He has definite concerns around that. One of the things that's most interesting about him is specifically he has promised to use the first 100 days of his presidency to do only bipartisan bills, right? So he is really down for bipartisanship. I think that, that is interesting from a tactical perspective. I think people are ready for some bipartisanship because I think they've seen the damage that this, do everything under the power of your own votes can bring. And so I think bipartisan thing is a good idea from a tactical perspective, and it's a very good idea from a governing perspective. I also really, really like that John Delaney specifically is talking about the first 100 days. A lot of people don't understand this about politics. It's absolutely true. You can get things done in your first 100 days that you can't get done at almost any time of your presidency. And so the smartest presidencies understand that the first 100 days is incredibly valuable. So the reason why is you're the new president, and people are like, oh man, I got to get in good with the new president, because then I could use that alliance for 4 years, right? Minimum, right? And so they don't really know who you are, what you can do, what you can't do, right? Because once you get in, you're going to prove who and what you're going to do as president, and that's important, right? And so you are going to have this period where you have a lot of goodwill from certain people, and they're going to say, okay, let's do this. I'm going to work with you. And they may not be willing to work with you once they've seen the kind of president that you will be, right? And so that first 100 days is incredibly valuable. And John Delaney is one of the few candidates I've heard talk about it at length and have an actual plan for what they're going to do in their first 100 days. This shows real intelligence. I love this tactically. I think it's expressing to people that you have a plan, that you're going to hit the ground running. I love that. I think tactically this could get some votes. It's going to move the needle a little bit. From a governing perspective, it's brilliant. Your 100 days, maybe everything you accomplish, you're not promised a second term. And frankly, if people get the idea that you are not going to get a second term, you could be lame duck after 2 years, right? So people really forget how tenuous the presidency can be. Perfect example of this was Jimmy Carter. Right? He was a one-term president. Like when it came to the general election, Ronald Reagan like just punched him in the face. It was like watching Bruce Lee fight a social studies teacher. I mean, it was bad, right? And like so it was really significant. And so basically I love this idea of talking about your first 100. All right, what are his strengths? Boy, he has this is really tough to think of a strength for John Delaney. He is talking about automation. So and I think that is a major theme. So that is a modern theme, and it's a relevant theme for our times, right? So he's able to read the room. He's able to see what the real problems are, right? And I don't think at all. So what are his weaknesses? One, he's a Washington insider. It's difficult to hear him, and it's difficult to see him, because you get the idea that he actually still believes that his service to the country as a politician is a benefit to winning the election. It is absolutely not a benefit. The vast majority of people are so frustrated with politicians that your Washington insider experience is a huge disadvantage, perception-wise, and that turns into reality-wise. It's a real problem. The other one is he's low intersectionality. He's another low intersectionality candidate for the Democrats, which in many ways is starting to become very problematic, because the Democrats, they really for a long time have been saying, we genuinely care about intersectionality. And they do have some intersectionality, and they have some high intersectionality candidates, but John Delaney there is a pancake stack of low intersectionality candidates, and John Delaney is one of them. If the primary were happen today, I would give John Delaney about 1% chance of winning the primary. If the general election came up, I would give him 1% chance of beating Donald Trump. Just because if he talks on camera, you can literally hear his voice. I don't think he would get the camera very often. I just don't see him bringing almost anything to the party that any other candidate doesn't, in a much better and stronger way. I really think John Delaney is kind of an also-ran. I will say this, though. I really appreciate the also-rans. I like that there are 15 people running for the Democrat primary. This is king of the world, queen of the world. That's what the U.S. presidency is. Like, that is the most baller, power position in existence. And yeah, there should be a ton of people running for it. Like, it's king of the world, queen of the world, man. Like, it is top tier, right? And so there should be a lot of people. And I like that people are taking the time to run and give people lots of options. I think John Delaney really fails to get over that hurdle. But I appreciate that he's trying. So that's my take on John Delaney. I'd love to hear your opinion on John Delaney. Please let me know in the comments below. Have a wonderful day, and thank you.